have already died. You just don't remember it. This is quantum immortality. It suggests consciousness cannot experience its own end. Every time you die in one timeline, your mind instantly shifts to a parallel branch where you survived. That close call you had last week, you didn't get lucky. You died. You just woke up here. You are trapped in life. Forever.
He's already coming into power.
It's only a dream.
Wake up.
Remember how we said nothing happened in 2012? What if that was the lie? What if something did happen, but we were never supposed to notice? After 2012, something felt off. People started noticing strange things, like small details that didn't match their memories. The Mandela effect. Named after how some people swear they remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 80s. But in this timeline, he didn't. He became president of South Africa and died in 2013. Then there's the Berenstain Bears versus Berenstain Bears debate. Looney Tunes versus Looney Tunes. Mirror on the wall versus magic mirror on the wall. Why do millions remember it differently? Some say these are just false memories, but others think it's something much bigger, a glitch in the matrix. A sign we're no longer in the original timeline. Now here's where it gets wild. In 2012, CERN, the European Physics Lab, discovered the Higgs boson, aka the God particle. Some believe that moment triggered a shift in our reality. That maybe we accidentally broke something, tore open a hole in the universe, slipped into a slightly different dimension. And the signs are all around us if you're paying attention. In part 3, we'll look into CERN, timeline loops, and the growing belief that reality is no longer stable. If you've ever felt like something isn't right with the world, you might not be crazy. You might just be awake. Follow for part 3. This rabbit hole goes deep.
This explanation of the Mandela effect goes viral. I know it's the truth. So people call the Mandela effect, for those of you that don't know, an aspect of a parallel universe or somebody that has a false memory. Either way you slice it, there's something really strange going on. The way that I can explain it is it's an aspect of consciousness moving from a base 10 system to a base 12 system. What do I mean by that? In a base 10 system, if you take a circle and you slice it up into 10 different slices, you ended up with 36-degree angles. The 36-degree angles, if you break that down into the gematria, represent the duality of life. Now, what does that mean? If you look at the tree of life associated with the Kabbalah, there are 10 spherot that move along it. This is that base 10 system. It's the system of instructions that we've been given in order to have us walk along the linear path. Now, if I wanted to move into the curvature of space and time, I move into a base 12 system. The base 12 system allows me to take a circle and I slice it up into 12. I get 30-degree angles. If I take that 30 degrees and I apply it to the seed of life and I shift it, it ends up giving me the lotus of life. That lotus of life is a representation of the toroidal field that moves between our chakras and connects us with consciousness. In addition to that, the 30-degree angle also, when split up, gives you the 12 different hands on the clock that connect us with time. Also, the northern wall of the Great Pyramid sits at a 30-degree angle from the equator of the planet, and if you were to draw a 30-degree line from that Great Pyramid all the way across the planet, you end up hitting all of Earth's sacred sites. All of these clues were left for us over time to help us with our collective ascension, from our clocks to our sacred geometry and now the Mandela effect. Pay attention to it. When you start seeing it, you know you're on your path. Thank you, and I love you. This explanation.
Dying. Honestly, I think what it was, I think the Mandela effect is a complete psyop. And I think that was kind of the tester ground, because you can implement an idea into a group of people and people will start remembering things that they didn't remember. And I honestly believe this is exactly what happened in this case. And I think she was the one to put it to the catalyst, because in 2015 is when the idea of the Bible being changed by nefarious forces, primarily the devil, through CERN, was changing Bible verses from what they originally were. And they were talking about the King James Bible specifically. Now, they'll try to say that the original codexes are being changed and all these other things, but they don't have any proof of that. All they can really try to point to is the King James Bible. Now, King James Bible is interesting because since its inception, it's had over 1,000 different revisions, at least, and that was within like the first year. So of course it did, because they were trying to make sure that the translations were correct. Plus, over a period of time, dialects change, right? Even English dialects change. So like the original Old English, most of us wouldn't even know what that means. Like we would sit there, it would be like hieroglyphics to us. That's why there's been so many other translations. And I'm not saying that there aren't bad translations. I'm not saying that people don't do nefarious things. But what I can tell you is that when you look at from the original codexes to now, there has been significant translations that we can point to that never have changed. We know they haven't, and we have tons of them. So to sit there and say that nefarious forces are changing the Bible, well, again, you're making it out to be that Satan himself is more powerful than God, that he's changing the Bible.
Something is wrong with our memories, not just yours, everyone's. Millions of people around the world remember events that never actually happened. This isn't forgetfulness. This is the Mandela effect, the terrifying phenomenon where entire populations share the same false memory. People remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he actually died in 2013. Children remember Berenstain Bears, even though it's Berenstain. People swear the Monopoly Man had a monocle. He never did. Everyone remembers Luke, I am your father. The real line is, no, I am your father. Different countries, different languages, same wrong memory. How is that possible? Inside your brain, memory doesn't store files like a computer. It reconstructs reality every time you recall it. And sometimes it mixes up information, filling gaps with whatever feels right. But scientists discovered something far more disturbing. In MRI scans, the Mandela effect activates the visual memory centers, not fantasy or imagination. Meaning, people aren't guessing. They are remembering something they're sure they saw. So where did these memories come from? 3 explanations exist, none of them comforting. Theory 1. Collective memory drift. Human brains influence each other and reshape memories over generations. Theory 2. Parallel reality bleed through. If infinite universes exist, maybe some people remember details from a version of reality that no longer matches ours. Theory 3. Simulation missync. A rendering error in consciousness, a glitch in how our brains interpret the world. Because when millions of people have the same wrong memory, it stops being a mistake. It becomes a message. A message that maybe reality isn't as stable as you think. Something is wrong with our memories, not just yours, everyone's. Millions of people around the world remember events that never actually happened. This isn't forgetfulness. This is the Mandela effect, the terrifying phenomenon where entire populations share the same false memory. People remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he actually died in 2013. Children remember Berenstain Bears, even though it's Berenstain. People swear the Monopoly Man had a monocle. He never did. Everyone remembers Luke, I am your father. The real line is, no, I am your father. Different countries, different languages, same wrong memory. How is that possible? Inside your brain, memory doesn't store files like a computer. It reconstructs reality every time you recall it. And sometimes it mixes up information, filling gaps with whatever feels right. But scientists discovered something far more disturbing. In MRI scans, the Mandela effect activates the visual memory centers, not fantasy or imagination. Meaning, people aren't guessing. They are remembering something they're sure they saw. So where did these memories come from? 3 explanations exist, none of them comforting. Theory 1. Collective memory drift. Human brains influence each other and reshape memories over generations. Theory 2. Parallel reality bleed through. If infinite universes exist, maybe some people remember details from a version of reality that no longer matches ours. Theory 3. Simulation missync. A rendering error in consciousness, a glitch in how our brains interpret the world. Because when millions of people have the same wrong memory, it stops being a mistake. It becomes a message. A message that maybe reality isn't as stable as you think.
This has been a Pinguinati production. If you'd like to support the channel, links are in the description.